For the first time ever, humanity has a close-up view of one of the universe's greatest mysteries, black holes.
Welcome to Plain English, the podcast that goes at the right speed for English language learners. Listen now and read the transcript online at plainenglish.com. Now, here's Jeff, your host for today's episode.
Scientists released the first ever image of a black hole. It looks like a black sphere surrounded by a ring of light. I want to thank a few listeners for suggesting this topic. JR suggested it. You might think that he's not a listener exactly since he's the producer, but he does listen to every episode, so he counts. But also Juan from Puerto Rico and Rodrigo from Brazil suggested this topic too. If you've been listening for a while, then you know that science isn't exactly my strongest subject. So I'm going to tell you what I did. I read a few articles in real newspapers about this, but I still didn't understand what I was reading. So don't tell anyone because this is embarrassing. So it just has to stay between me and you. What I did was I went to a website for kids to read about this story. And the website is called Teen Kids News. I'm not even joking. And even then, I didn't understand everything. But I understood more than when I was reading the grown-up websites. So I did find some good YouTube videos also about this, like some really good ones. And I'll send them out to our email list. So if you get the emails, then you don't have to do anything. But I'll also link to them on the website. If you're not on the email list, then you might want to sign up today. Just go to plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L, and enter your details on there. And here's why you want to be on there. Every Monday and Thursday, or if I'm lazy that week, Tuesday and Friday, but let's just say twice a week, I send an email with a summary of the episode, links to English articles about the main topic, and in case you want to read some more, you can click through those links and see the articles I used to prepare the show. And I also put an explanation of one other word or phrase that I discussed in the episode. Okay, let's get going on today's main topic. One of the deepest mysteries of the universe came into greater focus as scientists released the first ever image of a supermassive black hole. The announcement was made at a news conference in Washington, D.C., and simultaneously in 5 other places around the world on April 10th. The image shows a lopsided ring of light around the black hole at the center of a galaxy known as Messier 87, about 55 million light years away, in the constellation known as Virgo. Let's pause for a little bit of education on black holes. They are the extremely dense masses of matter in the universe that are so dense they have a gravitational pull that doesn't even let light escape. Remember that the more massive something is, the more gravity it has. So these dense areas have so much mass, their gravity pulls so hard that not even light can escape. Scientists think that black holes are caused by massive stars collapsing upon themselves at the end of their lifetimes. All the mass of a huge star is still there, but it's concentrated in a tiny sphere, a really dense sphere that doesn't allow anything to escape. And that's how a small black hole is created. Now, a black hole doesn't suck other material in, but it can grow if other material in space gets too close to it. There are no black holes in our solar system, which is probably a good thing, but it makes it hard to study them. Now, there are some black holes in our galaxy, but how do scientists know where there is a black hole if they cannot be seen like stars and planets? One way to tell is if companion stars nearby are orbiting around something that cannot be seen. Just like planets in our solar system orbit around our sun, other stars orbit around each other, or they orbit around an X star, a black hole. That's one way you can tell a black hole exists, if visible stars are orbiting around something that cannot be seen. Another way scientists can tell a black hole exists is around the types of X-rays and other energy that they give off. When gas and other matter in the universe gets too close to a black hole, it gets pulled in very rapidly, generating X-rays and radio waves in the process. Couple other things. Black holes are spheres. A sphere is like a ball, like a big black basketball in the sky. The shape of a black hole is part of Einstein's general theory of relativity. The edge of the ball, the boundaries of the black hole, that's called the event horizon. Anything beyond the event horizon is inside the black hole. Now, right around the black hole is an area called the accretion disk. This is the area of space that the black hole directly affects the most. So remember that black holes are extremely dense and have tremendous gravitational pull. So just beyond their boundaries, just beyond the event horizon, is this zone of influence where the black hole is exerting tremendous power on everything in its immediate neighborhood. And this is an area that's full of dust and gas, and it's spinning extremely fast around the black hole. Okay, so now we're ready to get back to the news and what we saw in the picture. If you saw the picture, and if you haven't, you can see it on the transcript at our website at plainenglish.com/147. But if you've seen the picture, you're looking at a dark circular area in the middle, surrounded by a donut-like ring of orange. And the orange is plasma that's spinning around the black hole in that accretion disk I was talking about earlier. The bottom of the ring is brighter than the top of the ring. Because the black hole is so dense, it actually bends light. So some of the light is being bent and sent back toward Earth, while some of it is going away from us. That is why part of the ring around the black hole is brighter than the rest. So let's put the science on hold for now, and I'll share a few other facts about this image and the black hole that it reveals, and then we can get on to something that I understand a lot better, and that would be whatever phrase that I choose to review today. But a few more things first of all. The black hole we're looking at is 6.5 billion times bigger than our sun. Think about that. So despite how big it is, we needed an extremely powerful set of telescopes to see it, since it's so far away. In fact, it's just barely at the edge of what our current technology lets us see in the sky. To see an image like this, we would have needed a telescope the size of the Earth, and that would be one big telescope. Since that's not possible, scientists used the next best thing, a network of 8 telescopes around the world, all looking at the same area at the same time. The telescopes were located on the tops of mountains where it was easiest to see into space. As the Earth rotated, they could create a virtual huge telescope by putting together all the data that each one individual telescope collected over the course of 1 week in April 2017. So how much data would that be? It's the equivalent of 5,000 years of MP3 files, just to give you an idea. So they had to load all that data onto physical hard drives, ship it to one location, and analyze it there for about 2 years. And the result of all that work is the image that scientists released to the public this month. Let's not do another science topic for a couple of weeks, okay? Yikes, that stuff is hard to understand. I want to say hi to a couple of listeners. First up, another instance of people listening together. You know how much I love hearing that. Natalia gets together in a small group of 4 colleagues in Munich. They're all engineers in the automotive industry, and they get together on Wednesdays to talk about the main topic and translate new words. I think that's amazing. So I wanted to send a big hello to Natalia and the Wednesday group in Munich. Also, Jose from Chile works at a bank during the day and sings in a band at night. He sent me a clip of his band singing a Creedence Clearwater Revival song, great band from the 70s. He loves learning English because it lets you learn all kinds of new things. That's really true. And one of the things he uses to learn in English is a YouTube channel called Crash Course. I checked it out and it's really interesting. They've got tons of great videos about science, math, history, engineering, computers, business, you name it. And the great thing is, you pick a subject you want to learn about, even if you already know the content of the video, you can start learning the words in English. So check that out, Crash Course on YouTube, thanks to your fellow listener, Jose in Chile. Today's episode is a little long already, but really quickly, I want to remind you that Plain English listeners are eligible for a free audiobook by going to plainenglish.com/book, B-O-O-K. I am reading a book called Where'd You Go, Bernadette? I'm reading it in Spanish. JR suggested it to me, and it's really funny. It's going to be a movie soon, but it is a great book. And you can listen to it in English on Audible. Now, you know my rule. If I can understand something in Spanish, then I bet you guys can understand it in English. The words are not very hard, but the story is good, really funny. Where'd You Go, Bernadette? That's what it's called. And if you're interested in trying an audiobook, check out plainenglish.com/book. And if they're going too fast, I haven't mentioned this before, but if they're going too fast, the app can actually slow down the narration for you so you can listen at 75% speed. PlainEnglish.com/book. Today's phrase is to come into focus. When something comes into focus, it becomes easier to understand. To understand what I mean by this phrase, imagine you turn on a projector that projects an image up onto a screen. We use those a lot at my job. We project our computers onto the wall or onto a screen. But you know how when you just turn one of those on, the image is often blurry. You have to adjust the lens of the projector in order to make the image clearer. You have to adjust the focus. So that's why we say something comes into focus when it becomes clear. Black holes are one of the greatest mysteries of the universe. And a lot of what we think we know about black holes is still an unproven theory. Einstein is responsible for most of the theories around black holes, and incidentally, most of what he thought about black holes was confirmed by the images that were released. The images released by scientists don't contain all the answers to all our questions about black holes, but they do provide a lot of new information. That's why I said at the beginning of the episode that one of the big mysteries of the universe came into greater focus. It became clearer. We started to learn a lot more about it. Our understanding is still not perfect, but black holes came into greater focus. When something is a mystery and it starts to become clear, then you say it comes into focus or comes into greater focus. Here's an example from the world of technology. For a long time, people speculated that Apple would get into the streaming business by creating a service similar to Netflix. But nobody really knew what they were going to do. Apple's plans came into focus at a big event where they explained a lot of what they were planning. Beforehand, nobody knew what was up. After the event, it was clear that Apple was planning to create its own library of shows. Their plans came into focus at that big event. Here's another example. In Turkey, as in many countries, they have lots and lots of political parties. So it can be hard to know who to vote for when there are so many options and so many differences between them. But in this year's local elections, the parties made alliances. So while there were many political parties, they grouped themselves loosely into just two big alliances. So that brought the choice into focus for many voters. Now, the voters were able to make the decision more easily. I'll give you an example from sports, too. It's the beginning of the baseball season now. And actually, JR and I tried to go to a baseball game when I was visiting Dallas, but it got rained out. Anyway, we're only about 3 weeks into a 6-month-long season. It's way too early to know who are going to be the good teams when the season ends in September. But in baseball, they say that around Memorial Day in the United States, right around the end of May, the playoff picture comes into focus. That means by the end of May, we start to have a good idea of who are the teams that are good that year and who are not. Right now, it's too early to tell. There's a lot of randomness in baseball and a lot of games yet to be played. But by the end of May, things will come into focus. We'll start to know who's going to be competitive at the end of the year and who won't. There will still be some surprises. There always are. But the playoff picture will come into greater focus in another 5 or 6 weeks. That's all for today. Don't forget audiobooks at plainenglish.com/book, B-O-O-K. And if any of them are too fast, just slow down the speed to 0.75 and you'll get it for sure. One free audiobook for any listener to Plain English if you sign up for a free trial, all for you at plainenglish.com/book. JR and I will be back on Monday when we'll talk about the world's biggest and most spectacular exercise in democracy.